Hello and welcome to another video. Today we are doing our full Pilates mat class, anything 45 to 50 minutes. And today we're really going to be looking at shoulder stability and back strength. So we're going to be doing all of our usual exercises just with that added emphasis on how we're being with our posture. So we'll start at the back of our mat, our feet in our parallel position, same width as the cheekbones. So first thing we're going to do is just warm up the upper body a little bit, warm up the lower body, and then we'll start getting into some of our good exercises. So first thing I'd like you to do, making sure that you're following femur, down the shin bone, first and second toe, is we're just going to lift one heel up then the other, just kind of like, it's like simulating walking to a degree, and that's just warming up the calf, it's warming up the ankle, and that's just something we want to do, especially if it's cold or it's, first thing in the morning maybe, or sometimes last thing at night can be quite good to do this if you've been stood up a lot. Okay, holding those feet there, what I'd like you to do now is just try and flex the foot, lifting the ball of the foot up. Where possible, try not to pull the toes back. We're trying to just lift from the ball of the foot. So again, kind of simulating that walking. Okay, releasing that there. We're going to start with our little squat. So we're pushing the bottom back, arms can lift. If it's too much for the arms, you can have them on the hip bones or even in like a tabletop position in front. I don't really mind, I might go for a tabletop today because I can really think about pulling, not pulling the wrong word, but I'm using my rhomboids, I'm using my lats, all those lovely muscles in my back. Holding at the top. We're going to lengthen the arms out to the side as if you're holding a big beach ball. We're going to inhale, twist to the right, exhale middle, and then left. Now I'm thinking about keeping the hip bones facing forward. I'm not letting my body shift. And then we're going to start with a little bit of a lift of the arms as well. Now this is where you need to think, it's a hard one. But if I turn away from you, when I inhale and lift, I'm thinking of my arms pulling down slightly, and this just stops the arms lifting up from the shoulder. We want just natural movement. We don't need shoulders around ear holes. Because you'll see a lot of people lift and then the shoulders start to come out of sockets. We want to think, keep them down. So we inhale, twist and lift, exhale down, back to middle. And do one more for me. Back to that middle, just bring those arms down, maybe shake shoulders around a little bit, and then we're going to do our roll down. So we're going to bring chin down, pelvis under, start to roll down, have a bend in those knees. We need to be kind to our bodies first time we do this little roll down, especially if we've not warmed up properly yet, and then begin to roll all the way back up, and then again we're going to roll it down, and just hold for a second, and then gently rolling all the way back up. And then just lift both arms up to the ceiling, leaning over to the right, and just circle the right arm. Just getting a little bit of movement through the rotator cuff and circle it the opposite way. And then up and over to the side, same thing, we're going to circle. And circle the opposite way. And then back down to middle, just shaking out a little bit, and then we'll come down to our mat. So slowly rolling down, one bone at a time, bending the knees, walking the hands out, coming onto hands and knees, Coming to do a bit of our cat stretch, our cat-cow. So we exhale round the back, push that shirt up to the ceiling, head and bottom tuck under, and then inhale, belly down, head and bottom lift. Exhale, we round. Inhale, belly down, head and bottom lift. We'll do one more of these. And we round. Inhale, belly down, head and bottom lift. Perfect, coming into that flat back. So we're going to do a little bit more of a warm up for the shoulders and getting into the tummy as well. So though this involves a teeny weeny bit of a press up, what I really want you to think of is, if I just turn away from you a second, is when we come down, we're not rounding the shoulders. We've got shoulders in shoulder sockets. So as we start to press down, elbows are coming more like at a 45-degree angle, they're not dead out straight. You're just going to come down to where you feel you can. But the main thing is you're thinking about these shoulder blades. They're going to squeeze together slightly. We're going to start using all these muscles here to stabilise, and then as we push away, we want to keep them in position. What we don't want to see is this. So you've really got to ask what we call our serratus anterior down here to hold this shoulder blade in place. It's its main job. And you're just pushing, thinking shoulders in shoulder sockets. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to be in a modified press-up position. Okay. So this is just warming up the arms a bit more. So even if you just come down a teeny weeny bit, that is perfectly fine. But we're going to do a little bit of a press-up. And then we push back into kind of like a half rest position. So my bottom isn't down. I've just pushed back slightly, stretching out the shoulders, but my shoulders are still in the sockets. I haven't let them come out. They're still pulling down ever so slightly. So it's just an inhale down, exhale up and back. And this is quite a nice little flow. If you're short on time and you think, you know what, I just need a little bit of movement, after you've done a few roll downs, a little bit of thoracic movement, this can be brilliant. It's also really good for the tummy. So we're still thinking of bringing those abdominals up. And like I said, it could be a teeny weeny press up. It doesn't have to be a full one. And on this next one, just push back properly into your rest position. Just take a moment to relax the hands, relax the shoulders. Big breaths in and out. Perfect. So we're going to do that one again without the press up this time. And this one is more now for the tummy and for the legs. So we've got two options. One is you carry on in that modified press up position and you're just moving forward and back. It's kind of like a pounce forward and a push back. Pounce forward. If you're feeling super duper strong and you think, I'm going to give it a go, we're going to do that in a full plank position. There's only one little stipulation. Try and not stick the bottom up in the air. So I want you to imagine that you're underneath the surface. So straight away I'm thinking to myself, okay, I haven't pushed my shoulders out of the sockets, I've got them back in position, and we just bend the knees and push back and pounce forward. What I don't want to see is this bottom in the air if we can help it. I mean, even I do a little bit of bottom in the air sometimes, but that's fine. So you're really working through the thighs here. We're only going back as far as we can control it. Inhale back, exhale, pouncing forward. And this is very much like the exercise we did a moment ago when we were stood up for the arms, because we're telling the shoulders, you need to stay where you need to be, even though my arms are lifting slightly above shoulder height. Just do one more. Holding in the plank, knees down, pushing back. Rest position again. on the heels if we can, if not sit on the bottom. And we're just going to stretch the shoulders out a little bit more. We're going to have right hand down, left arm's going to come up and over. Now I've not gone directly to the side, I've come slightly in front of the body. And what I'm going to do is a little bit of a circle. So this is kind of like a kneeling around the world. I'm reaching forward, think pizza, chocolate bar, puppy, whatever, you want to grab it, gin and tonic. It's coming around, my elbow softens, but I don't take it that far back that I start to feel clunk, 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 clunk. I'm only going as far back as I can control, elbow nice and soft. And this is just stretching out the shoulder. We've done this before, lying down, I believe, and going round. This is just a little cheats version. And then come to the other side, we're leaning over, getting a nice stretch down the serratus anterior, coming into the arm slightly, and then we begin that little around the world. So this is where I suffer with my EDS hypermobility, because I can quite happily pull a shoulder out. So I need to be careful that I don't get that clunk. So a softened elbow is fine. Perfect, coming back up. And then we're going to just interlink the fingers behind the back. Now if that's too much, you could let go and just kind of do a bit of a Superwoman, Superman type thing, fingers behind. But if we can, we're going to have to interlink the fingers, just roll chin to chest slightly and see if we could lift the arms up a little bit. Just stretching out. And then keep the fingertips there, then just look up to the ceiling. Pushing the arms away and release. So we're going just through all of that rotator cuff. We're going through biceps, triceps, getting into the back. And sometimes I always say to facilitate movement, you have to move. And I know, a lot of people suffer with shoulder problems, me included. I pulled my trousers up yesterday and I got a twinge on my poorly shoulder that I injured a couple of years ago. So it's just mindful movement. We forget, we pick the shopping bags up, we pull the trousers up, and you forget what you're doing. Let's go and work on the rest of the body. Legs out in front, slight bend if needed. Remember, we want that lovely posture. And again, this is where the shoulders come in. We all sit with a little bit of a rounded shoulder. Me, I am dreadful. Again, hypermobility, I can just really relax those shoulders. So we're just going to think, inhale, around, up and down with those shoulders. We're not forcing them down, we've just slotted them back in. Legs can be straight, slight bend if needed. We lift the arms to the front. Now straight away, if I've got my shoulders in the position they need to be in, I have a teeny bend in this arm. You see a lot of people do that and then they've pulled the shoulders forward. So I'd rather you ballet arms, whatever you want to think about, a little bend. So we're going to exhale, push forward, still thinking of those shoulders in shoulder sockets. Inhale, restack. Keep this going forward, because a lot of time the brain thinks it's helping us out because it thinks, oh, she wants me to lean forward, that means I must go past my toes. So then they kind of pull the shoulders out to reach a bit further. It's kind of like a cheat's way of touching your toes. Just trying to keep the shoulders where they need to be. I personally have to work a lot on my serratus anterior. It's that lovely fan muscle. You see some of the men have it. Channing Tatum is one that has it. I know this from when he was in a couple of his movies. He has this lovely fan muscle down here. That's your serratus anterior. Men have this ability to make it quite large and then you can see it. But its main purpose in life, apart from being slightly an intercostal muscle, is to keep that shoulder blade where it needs to be. So things like this, being mindful is brilliant. And you can even do this with a 1 kilo weight or a can of baked beans in each hand. Just that sometimes added extra weight will help you realise where it is. Holding there, arms back out into that big beach ball stance, and we're going to start that twist again. Inhale to one side, exhale middle. Inhale other side, exhale middle. I'm being quite mean, aren't I, today? The poor back and shoulders won't know what to hit them later. But it's good to work this through a little bit. And relax, rolling those shoulders. So keeping kind of in keeping with where shoulders and arms are, we're going to do a little bit of our part roll down with a tap if we can. But if you come down to the front edge of your mat, we can have our toes facing to the ceiling if you need, hands behind the thigh to begin, shoulders in shoulder sockets, and all we're going to do is partially roll down. You're going to where you feel you could hold it. So for me that's about here. For you it might be a little bit higher. But you want to feel, actually, I could keep it here. Now, I like to have my toes pointed. Some people like to have them flexed. I just find it more comfortable for me. Wherever you are, try and hold. Take some big, deep breaths in and out. Using our Pilates breath, we're breathing into the ribs. And then exhale, restack. Inhale, prepare, exhale, slowly tuck pelvis under, begin to roll down, hold, take a big breath in and a big breath out. Let's see if we could just hover the arms and coming all the way back up. This time as we roll down, we're just going to twist ever so slightly to our right. The right arm's going to just tap and then it's going to come forward and we're going to restack. We roll down, we twist to the left, we try and tap and back up. Now if this isn't a possibility, you could have the hands behind the legs and it could be a little tap to the side. Anything to kind of test that balance, test that stability, but we are looking at those shoulders today, that back. We'll do one more. Restacking back up. So, option, keep hands behind legs, tummy muscles are on fire. But if you can, coming down again to wherever you can hold that C curve. It could be up here, it could be a bit lower. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to inhale, twist to the right, exhale, middle. Inhale, twist to the left, exhale, middle. Now, option here to bring the arm of the side that we're coming to down slightly to deepen the C curve and back up. So we're deepening it, but you don't have to. All of these are variations, they're options. Remember to rest when you need. We're just going to do one more on each side. Hold in the middle. And then just see if you can gently roll down. If you need just to hold the floor to help you roll down, that's not a problem. Perfect. So straight away I've laid down and my bottom of my back here, L4, L5, getting into my pelvis has made an awful cracking noise, so apologies if you've heard that. One of the things I suffer with is pelvic instability. With my hypermobility, I get quite a lot of cracks down there, and even though I'm stable and I'm holding myself, my body's never 100% happy. So just making sure that nobody else has got that problem. I like to do our pelvic tilt. So knees in line with hips, ankles in line with knees, arms just gently on the mat. Now, even when we're on the mat, we need to check we haven't rounded the shoulders. So we're just pushing them into position, making sure we're comfy, and then thinking of that pelvis as a clock, 6 o'clock belly button, 12 o'clock groin. We exhale, push down to 6. Inhale, tilt up to 12. So it's just the pelvis moving. And then we're going to come into our neutral spine, slight gap underneath the bottom of that back. We're thinking hip to hip, rib to rib check, and what I mean by that is that we haven't sunk down to one side, we haven't got the ribs flaring out. It's just a little checkpoint here. Do I feel level? Once I'm there, we're going to start our bridges. Take a big breath in. Exhale, push the back down to 6. Lift the bottom, middle back, coming onto the upper back. Big breath in. And then exhale, slowly rolling down, top, middle, bottom. Inhale to neutral. Exhale, we push down to lift up, just lengthening through those legs, thinking about squeezing the glutes. Inhale and exhale, roll down. Just do a few more like this. Just getting our form, our technique right before we start adding on. And on this next one, holding at the top. Option here to lift one arm at a time, or feel free to lift both. But again, we're thinking about where the work's coming from. Whenever we start lifting the leg, we think about the foot. Whenever we start lifting the arms, we always think to the extremities, the hands. Remember, we're actually moving the arm bone in the shoulder socket. All the work is coming from up there, which means we need to stabilise the shoulder joint. We need to think about all of those muscles we just worked, lats, rhomboids, everything's working to lift those arms up. Keep the arms lifted, roll down one bone at a time. Come back into your neutral spine, and we're just going to do a few shoulder drops. So this is when you're allowed to pull it out of the socket slightly. We inhale, lift one arm up as high as we can. Exhale, drop it down. Other side, inhale, lift. Exhale, drop it down. And then just release the arms down for a second. Maybe just rock the knees side to side. Perfect. We're going to come into some of our tummy work now. I'll try and leave the arms alone for a little bit in the back. They've still got to work, but we're just not focusing on them. We're going to hug our left leg into our chest. Right leg could be to the ceiling. It could be 45 degrees in front. Head and shoulders can lift if you promise to keep shoulders where they need to be. Inhale, we switch legs. Exhale, we switch legs. So we inhale and exhale. Remembering to take a break if we need at any point. Hugging both knees in, rest if we need to, or if not, take both legs out. Exhale, hug both in. Inhale out, exhale in. Do two more. Last one. Hug the knees in, relax head down if it was lifted. Bit of a rock of that spine. Perfect. We're going to lengthen one leg up to the ceiling, grab behind thigh or calf. Other leg's going to be 45 or just off the floor. Head and shoulders can lift if you want. And we're doing our scissors. So shoulders are in shoulder sockets. We pull the leg back. Inhale, inhale. Switch. Exhale, exhale. So in this one, okay, we do need to think about the shoulders a little bit more. We're having a little bit of a pull on that leg. So think of those muscles working around the shoulder blade, stabilising where the shoulder needs to be. Both legs to the ceiling, interlink the fingers, put them behind the base of the skull, roll those shoulders back into position. Inhale, we drop the legs slightly. Exhale, we bring back up. Inhale, we drop slightly. Exhale, we bring back up. Obviously we can drop to 45 if we wish, but we have to be careful. It's all about that stability of the pelvis. Pilates breath. And then bring the knees into tabletop, rest head down for a second. Take some nice big deep breaths. We've got one exercise left, our crisscross. So we're going to lift head and shoulders up, elbows are in peripheral vision. We're going to inhale, twist the upper body to the right. And then try and extend the left leg. Exhale, middle. Other side. Exhale, middle. Now, if you're finding it difficult with the legs, you can just do the twist without moving the legs. You could even have the feet on the floor. But you choose what you want to do. Do one more on each side. And release it down. Perfect. Hello, tummy muscles. Perfect. Okay, being a little bit mean, admittedly, being a bit mean, we're going to come and do our side leg series. Obviously, you could use your arm as a pillow if you want to, or we're going to use the forearm, again thinking about where the shoulder is, but we're going to have to set up slightly different today, in a sense of I'm going to make you think about that technique. So we're going to put the forearm down, my hand is fully flat. I'm going to take a quick peek at my shoulder, okay? Is it rolling forward? Okay, so you'll see it, it'll angle forward. Or is it in the correct position? Have we got that little pull back? And what I mean by that is, feel like your shoulder blades are squeezing together. As soon as you feel the shoulder blades squeezing together slightly, okay, we need to make sure the head isn't forward. We need to make sure we're in that lovely posture position. Because if the head's down here, this is going to want to roll forward. So we push it back. So one way to do that is have hand behind the head. Just push the head into the hand slightly, and I guarantee you at some point you will feel the middle of your shoulders, like down the middle of your back, start working. And once you have that, let go, keep it there. We're going to have bottom leg to the front corner of the mat, top leg nice and straight. We're making sure pelvis is stacked. So straight away, I'm going to just make myself a little bit straighter. All of a sudden now, not only can I feel my tummy working, I would find it impossible to sink down. Because if I start to try and think about sinking down, the only way I'm going to do that is by rolling that shoulder forward. If you're in this lovely straight position, though possibly uncomfortable, because we're not used to it, it's impossible to sink down because everything's holding us up. So we're just going to do a little bit of a lift and lower with that top leg. Now if it gets too much, we lie down, and that's not a problem. But it's always thinking, it's like when we get a drink in the middle of the night. I am awful at this. I just kind of sink. I lean to get my glass and then I wonder why my shoulder hurts. If you're watching TV like this, admittedly you'd get tired, but you'd feel secure in your position. You're not going to get that nasty ache of the shoulder. Hold the leg at the top and do some small circles. And circle the opposite way. Notice how my leg's not going too high in this position. If anything, it's only in line with my hip. Hold. Flex the foot. Bring it forward just over the other leg and then point, take it back. Reason for this is the further forward we take it, the more we're going to start to roll this shoulder. Now, yes, okay, I can bring it forward a bit more, but just for today's practice, we're just going to bring it a little bit forward, a little bit back. Just take that foot to the back corner of the mat, make sure it's flexed, little lift, little lift. So I'm starting to feel like I want to bring my head forward, my postural muscles are getting tired, I'm going to make sure my head's in the correct position. And release. We won't spend too much time doing that. Okay, other side. So this is my dodgy side. This is actually my right hand side. I do opposites for the camera. So this is the one that if I'm going to do it wrong, it'll be this side. So, hand on the floor, elbows slightly out from underneath. I'm going to have my hand at the back of my head. I'm going to try and get that head in the correct position. So straight away I can feel a bit of a twinge in this shoulder, and that's just because it doesn't like me at the best of times. But we're okay, maybe I need to shift around a little bit, get yourself comfortable. Leg to the front corner of the mat, and then we're going to lift and lower. So, because I damaged this rotator cuff, it always gets a little bit angry at me sometimes. Pelvis is stacked. Maybe I've got my hand down for a little bit of support. But again, I would find it hard to sink down now because I've got all of my postural muscles working. My serratus anterior is holding my shoulder blade in place. I think about wanting to sink down, and the only way my brain can get me to sink down is by rolling that shoulder forward. So when you catch yourself doing that in this position, you know it's because this has given up and we need to reset. Just make sure at all times the elbow's a little bit further out than underneath here, because if it's too close in, we're going to get pain. So it needs, if anything, it's going to feel weird because it's too far away. Hold at the top and circle. Circle the other way. When we do this, we always think of planks, where we get told all the time, hands under shoulders. But when we're in this side position, we do need it a bit further away. Hold there, flex the foot forward, slightly over the front leg and back. Flex forward, point back. Hold at the back corner, flex the foot, lift and lower. And release, brilliant. Just come into the rest position for me. Pushing down, just relaxing those shoulders for a second. Big breaths in and out. Perfect. Coming onto the stomach for a second, we'll just do a little bit of back work, but we're going to do it in our modified position. So we're going to have our hands in line with our head, elbows tucked into the side, shoulders are back in their shoulder sockets. We're just going to have a quick look at, activating some more of those back muscles. So we're going to imagine that we're yanking ourselves forward on the mat. So I've got my hands gripped into the mat, and if anything, I feel like a little pull forwards. I've got my tummy muscles pulling off the mat, and what I'm going to do is inhale, lift head and chest up. My head stays in line. Now when I get to here, I can feel my muscles down the middle of my back, really working to keep shoulders where they need to be, and exhale down. Inhale, lift. I've got the back of my arms working. Exhale down. So it's that little pull on the hands that's really getting those muscles to work. One more. Releasing down, giving that back a little bit of a wiggle side to side. And then we'll do that one more time, but this time we're going to inhale, lift onto forearms, and then just see if we could lift onto the hands. This may not be an option, that's not a problem if not. We're really thinking of belly button coming up towards the spine. I then gently, still pulling on those hands, bring the forearms down, and then chest and head. So inhale, lift, push. Exhale down and back in. So you're really thinking of that posture. You're really thinking of shoulders in shoulder sockets. We're thinking of the muscles in between the shoulder blades working. We've got the lats which are underneath the shoulder blades pulling to keep them in position. I've got my head in line where it needs to be. Glutes are going to fire. It's a great little exercise this, swan prep. Do one more, hold. What I'd like you to do is just look over your left shoulder and just bring that leg in slightly, release, other side, bring the leg in slightly, release, one more time each side, still think shoulders where they need to be, and release. Pushing down, relax the shoulders, push up and over. Rest position, we always like a little bit of a flexion on that spine after extension work. Perfect. And then what we'll do is just stretch our legs out now and get a little bit of arm stretch in there as well. So we'll take our left leg forward, make sure we think we're on train tracks, about 60% of the way, making sure pelvis is straight, tucking tailbone under slightly just to get a nice stretch. Feeling really flexible and you're thinking, Chloe, I can't feel this very much. Without falling over, see if you can grab your right foot with your right hand. And you'll probably get a little bit more of a stretch down the quad, but that's only if you're struggling to feel the stretch to begin with. Release that foot away, take the bottom back so it's over the back knee. Lengthen the foot, and then we're just going to pull back on that lengthened leg at the front, making sure that we've increased the crease. So instead of being slightly cockeyed, we're straight. And then we're going to come down if we can. Teeny bend in the knee, that's just going to help us get into our hamstring. Holding there. Perfect. Just bend that left leg. We're going to take the left foot in front of the right knee, about 2 fist distance is fine. Sole of the foot is facing out to the right. We're going to gently walk the hands forward and bring left knee behind left hand, and then just see about lengthening back into our pigeon position so that right leg's pushing back. I'm nice and centred, tummy muscles are still working, and just hold there for me. Pushing out of that, we're going to bring the right leg forward. So we're 60% of the way, pushing tailbone under slightly. Not feeling the work where you need it to be in that back quad, we can always lift left foot up. Feeling a little bit of a stretch down the thigh. Releasing, taking bottom back, lengthening the right leg. We're just going to increase the crease on that right leg by just giving it a little bit of a pull back. And then just lengthen forward if you can. Nice stretch down the hamstring, teeny weeny bend in the knee. If you need more of a bend, that's fine. Bending that right knee, taking the right foot in front of the left knee, 2 fist distance, and then we're just going to gently walk the knee forward, lengthening left leg behind, pelvis is centred, and just holding there. Pushing back onto hands and knees for me, we're just going to do a few of our cat stretch, cat-cow. Exhale, we round the spine, push the shirt up to the ceiling, and then inhale, belly down, head and bottom lift. Exhale, we round. Inhale, belly down, head and bottom lift. And again, exhale round, holding in the angry cat. Just take a big breath in and a big breath out. And then inhale, belly down, head and bottom lift. Coming back into our 4-point tabletop position, hands and knees. We're going to take our left hand, thread it between the gap between the right hand and right knee, and just see if you can put the shoulder on the floor. Right elbow can bend. Releasing up, going to the other side. And then releasing up for me. Just come onto your back for a second. We'll just do a quick lumbar stretch. So we lie down, right leg out, left leg in tabletop, knee over hip. We're going to lift up and over to the right, make sure knee stays in line with that hip. Right hand on the leg, left arm out to the side, looking at the left fingertips as we push knee into hand, hand into knee, just holding our isometric stretch. Big breath in and out. And back to middle, and then the other side. Right leg lift, staying in line with the hip, up and over, arm extends. And back to middle, hook both knees in, and just rock that back side to side. Perfect, coming to sit up for me, and then just coming onto hands and knees again. Now we're going to do our elephant stretch, or some people notice down dog, similar, but when we come in, what we're aiming for is the head to be pushed in between the arms, and again we want to make sure shoulders are back where they need to be. We're not pulling them down, they're just in their shoulder sockets. And that's going to help with this exercise. So again, you really need to be feeling those postural muscles, as I call them, rhomboids, lats, everything's going to be working together, serratus anterior, to hold the shoulder in place. Now remember, a bent knee is always preferable when you're trying to get the shoulders in place first. So open the fingertips nice and wide, take one leg back then the other, and then push into the elephant position. So straight away I'm thinking shoulders in shoulder sockets. Okay, once you feel like you've got that position, that's when you're going to start trying to lengthen the legs, maybe one leg at a time, doing a little bit of a pedal. So when you're in this position, you should really be feeling those back muscles working. And then mindfully start to walk the hands back in towards the feet. Slowly rolling all the way up and just giving those shoulders a little bit of a roll at the top. We'll just do a few neck stretches. Face, you make it easier. Imagine you're stood in a little box. You're going to look at the left hand crease in that box, left hand behind the back of the head, and just bring the chin down slightly. And then up and over to the right, same thing. And then looking forward, push right hand down, left arm comes over and bring the ear to the left. You should feel a nice stretch down one side. And then the other side, left hand, right arm over. And release, just give those arms a little bit of a move around. Shoulders in shoulder sockets. What we're going to do is open the arms out and back. So I'm pointing my fingertips back, but I'll come back to the side. Okay, so I've got that. My ribs aren't flared, but I can feel a nice stretch down my pec, down my arms. I'm going to just look over my right shoulder, middle, left, middle, look up. As my gaze comes back forward, my arms come back down by my sides. And I'm going to do my roll down, chin down, pelvis under, slowly rolling down. And then gently restacking all the way back up. And you are done. Thank you so much for joining me for this video, and I look forward to seeing you soon.